Hello and thank you for joining us for another show full of football discussion. Joining me alongside my presenter Tom Reid is Hull City Ladies manager Rachel Gay and also player Stacey Hubbard. Coming up on the show today, we'll have a look at Grimsby's playoff final disappointment at Wembley, and we'll also be discussing Hull City's chances of avoiding relegation. So first of all, welcome to the show, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
We've got some good news. Obviously, we've got the trophy here, which is
Correct,
fantastic.
Yep.
Go on, Reidy, hold it up.
There you go, Rachel.
Yes.
You can hold that.
Yep,
Fantastic.
Pride and joy.
So, champions this season.
Yes.
Obviously, we had you on the show earlier on in the season, and you were narrowly missed promotion last year.
Yep.
So, just talk us through how the season's gone.
Yeah, obviously fantastically well for us. With winning promotion, we was so close last year. Very hard to take, and we was determined this year that wasn't going to happen again. We was pushed to the edge with Brighouse Town, good team, and it come to a bit of a decider really in March. Whoever would win the game at Brighouse would probably go on and win the league, and we came in at half-time 1-1, but second half absolutely fantastic, and Jo was on the show last time. She pulled a couple of goals out the bag to seal it for us.
So he was determined that it wasn't going to be the same sort of thing happening again as last season.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was heartbreaking last year, and I think that spurred us on. You know, that second half, we knew we don't want to be feeling like that again. We need these 3 points, and we knew that the remaining games was ones that we should go on to win. And we did just that, and we managed to lift the trophy with a game to spare, so a bit of breathing space as well. Fantastic,
and I think, Reidy, we've already talked about maybe getting me and you back down for pre-season again.
Rachel just said we need to go down for pre-season, have another training session.
To embarrass ourselves maybe, but obviously fantastic, to win the league for Hull City Ladies, and what's your opinion of how it's gone for them, what the future holds?
Last time he was on, Rachel, you said, the aim is to win the league, and you were quite positive that you could do that. So, you've gone on and done that. So, well done. You've done it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And obviously losing your star striker.
That's right, yeah, we did. We lost Beachy halfway through the season. She left us to go to Super League Club Durham. And at the time you're thinking, well, great, that's a fantastic move for her. But on the other side of it, you're thinking, goals, where they're going to come from. 45 goals a season she scores, but in the wings was waiting our 16-year-old star, and as soon as she turned 16 in January, we give her a taste of first team football, and she scored 6 goals on her debut. So I was like, there we go.
She's risen to the occasion then.
She certainly has. She, she's a confident youngster. Is Tonya, and she just played with confidence. I just said, go out there and just play your normal game. She's very fast. She's very skillful, and we now know she can knock the goals in as well in the women's league. Brilliant.
So champions of the, if I can read this right, the North East Regional Women's Football League. So what's the next step up, just to tell the viewers?
It's the Women's Premier League, and we go into the Northern Division 1. So we do play teams like Leeds United, Middlesbrough. So, there'll be a little bit of distance that we've got to travel, but we're certainly looking forward to it. There's a couple of teams that we played in the FA Cup this year, and we beat both of those who were in that league above. So that feeds us with a lot of confidence going into that Premier League, and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, fingers crossed you can have another successful season and maybe look, see what the future holds.
That's the plan. We've got a 6-year plan. Year 1 has gone to plan as we expected. So hopefully 5 years, and that will be in the Super League. That is, it's got to be the ultimate aim, hasn't it?
Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you.
Right, looking back at the latest set of results then. Hull face an uphill task to beat the Drop as they lost 2-0 at Tottenham. With the Tigers 2 points from safety, they'll need to win their final game at home to Manchester United and hope other results go their way. Grimsby suffered playoff heartbreak as they lost 5-3 on penalties against Bristol Rovers, meaning a 6th season in non-league, with John Paul Pitnam missing the crucial penalty. Lionel John Lewis gave the Mariners an early lead, only for Ellis Harrison to equalise. So going back to those games, Reidy, we will start with the Hull result. The 2-0 loss at Tottenham. Now, we were talking before the show and you were saying Hull probably should have got something from that game based on the chances that they had.
Yeah, we said they didn't play too badly, I don't think. Bruce, I feel bad, sorry for Bruce, because he's put the team out there, they've been set up well, he's got them playing well, they just can't finish, they can't convert them chances. They need a Beachy, I think, don't they? So had they done that, I think it could have been a different result for this season. I think Shane Long was that loss of Shane Long, and like you said, and Doy from the start of the season, had them two chaps been there from the start, that'd be a different story, I think.
Yeah.
What's your analysis of the result against Tottenham, Rachel?
Yeah, again, you know, I watched the highlights and, you know, they had a lot of possession, did Hull City, but they couldn't convert them into goals. It was either the final ball or the final shot, and probably been the story of their season, really. And you need a prolific goal scorer in your side, and hopefully we can find one of those for Sunday.
Fingers crossed that can happen. Going on to the Grimsby game then Reidy. I was there. It was a horrible situation to lose in. On penalties at Wembley, there's nothing worse. But what did you make to Grimsby's performance?
I think both sides played. I don't think anyone outclassed each other. I think it was even. Like we said last week, Hardy, it's going to go all the way. I think they couldn't be separated in the league. That was evident on last weekend as well. It went all the way to penalties, and then of course it's a lottery. So whoever had gone up, we now know Bristol Rovers, either side would have deserved that. So I think it's just harsh on it, Grimsby really.
Did you see much of the game, Rachel?
I didn't see the game, but obviously, you know, was checking on Twitter, and yeah, very disappointing. Penalties is an awful way to you know, to end the season. It's a lottery at the end of the day, and you know, it's not a nice way to go out. But I'm sure they'll bounce back.
I think they will, with the squad that they've got, Reidy, and obviously we're going to talk about the return list later on and the players that they're hoping to keep. That sort of, the players they've got there and the squad sort of morale and things, they seem to have really bonded together this season. We talked about it a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, I've heard it from fans as well. They said this group of players, you can see how close they all are and how close they are to the fans as well. And that helps them on the pitch, I think. It's a good group of lads, and I think even Andy Carr last week said it's what Grimsby have lacked for a few years, that passion and the closeness of the group. And
yeah, a lot of people saying they brought the club back together.
They're proud to have the club back.
Yeah.
So I think next season they should be one of the favourites to win that league next season.
You'd hope so. I mean, my analysis of the game, I actually thought, I don't know if it was rose-tinted glasses, I thought Grimsby were the better side, just edged it. I thought they bossed the first half. Bristol Rovers very strong, they're a good side, and they've got obviously a big pedigree, so I think, you know, they've gone up. Grimsby hopefully next season can get that promotion berth and win the league.
With a bit of luck as well again.
They're going to need that luck, and they're going to need to beat the teams towards the bottom of the league, which they didn't do this season. So fingers crossed that obviously Grimsby can do that. We'll move on now obviously to the retained list, the players that Paul Hurst has decided to try and offer contracts to, and the players that have been given the marching orders as such. So looking at the list, Reidy, was there any surprises to you at all?
Maybe Ross Hannah.
Yeah.
You're a fan of his?
I am, yeah. And
he can score goals. He's the one chap that you put on the pitch and you know he's probably going to get you a goal or create something. So that was my only little shock really with that.
I think I'd have to agree with you there. I don't think there was any major sort of players that you thought, wow, I'm really shocked at that. Ross Hannah was the one with me because I'm a big fan of his and I think he's a goal scorer, and if he's given a run of games, he will get you goals. I think he's admitted himself he's not quite done it as much as he'd like to have done it in a Grimsby shirt. But the others, I mean, we're looking at Wynne, Farrell, Walker, Humble, Draper, McLaughlin, Bignett, Watson, Jolly. So a lot of those players were sort of fringe players anyway.
Yeah, well, he's kept the core together. I think if they all accept them deals, that's what, 13, 14 core players that make up. All right, it's a small squad, but his best 11 is within that.
Is he going to be looking at loan players as well, would you think?
I think that's going to be the case again. Some loans have expired, he's going to get rid of some fringe players, and I think the way forward for Town would be loan players to help push for that side. I mean, do you take loan players on, Rachel? How's that with you?
We don't take loan players on, no. You know, like you said though, it's building that core into it and keeping that core of players, and you know, we're hopeful that we'll do the same thing. But you also said about having that you know, team bonding and you know, making sure you all get on, and that's really, really important. And if they can keep that you know, close knit of players, bring in loan players, as you say, you know, I'm sure they'll be all right.
Some of the comments we've had seen on Twitter, Leanne Rudd said, gutted to see Ross Hannah leaving. He could have won the playoff final for us, which was my view of it as well. I thought he was lacking a little bit of pace.
He could have come on and got a goal.
Yeah. I thought the centre-backs for Bristol Rovers lacked a bit of pace, so he'd have been good there. And Paul Allen said, if the lads sign up and we had a few more with quality, we have genuine chance of automatic promotion, in his opinion. As a manager, Rachel, how difficult is it when it comes to an end of the season and you're having to reevaluate the squad? How difficult is that for you as a manager?
Yeah, it is difficult. You know, you have your one-on-ones with your players, and obviously you set them goals. You know, but for my set of players, I'm certainly hoping to, you know, keep the ones that have got us up there, and a few additions. We're quite lucky. We've just managed to create a development team, and we've got middle lane under-16s that are very, very good. So a lot of those will be stepping up as well, and it's also good for the older ones to look behind them thinking, oh, I've got a youngster here that could take my place, so I've got to be at the top of my game. So nothing wrong with a bit of competition.
Are you happy with that then, having that sort of that setup available, that the players are looking behind them and thinking, oh God, there could be a younger girl that comes up?
To be honest, they accept it as well. As long as you sit them down and you talk it through, you know, in the right way with them, explain, you know, maybe why they're not in the team for this week and why the younger ones have stepped up. You know, they've got to take it on the chin and they've got to up the game. And it benefits everybody, I think. Definitely,
and it can only make the squad stronger.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Right, Greg's got another stinker of a question for me and Reidy, so let's see the first instalment of this week's head-to-head. Giovanni. That was my hill. Andy Dawson. Paul McShane. JJ Kocher. Josie Altidore. Matty Fryatt. Ian Ashby. Corran. And you can see Reidy's instalment in the second half of the show. Before we go to the break then, here's this week's half-time teaser. Who scored for both teams the last time Manchester United and Hull City played last season? We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Now, the answer to this week's half-time teaser was James Chester, who scored for Hull City before then scoring an own goal, which gave Manchester United the win. We've made a sub at half-time. We've swapped Rachel Gay with Stacey Hubbard. And coming up, we'll be talking to Stacey about her season. We'll also be previewing Hull's game against Manchester United and the impact on relegation if that happens. But first of all, here's the second instalment of this week's head-to-head.
McShane, Ricketts, Dawson, Boateng, Mailer, Dean Marnie, Ian Ashby, Kusan, Daniel Kusan, Manuccio,
You can see another head-to-head on next week's show. Right, welcome to the show, Stacey.
Thank you.
Can you pick out a highlight from this season? What's been something particularly epic for you, apart from obviously winning the league?
Yeah, well, our main aim was to win the league, which we've done with a game in hand. But the highlight for me was going to Brighouse, our rivals for the league, and going there knowing we had to win, because whoever had have won the game would have gone on to win the league. And going in at half-time 1-1, when the manager giving us a team talk and telling us we don't want to feel the way we felt last time. So we went out and defended, put our bodies on the line, and we knew we was going to get goals, which Jo did. Jo came on last time, she scored 2 goals. And we went out to win the game 3-1. I think as a team we played the best football we've played all season, that second half.
And what was it, the atmosphere like in that dressing room at half-time?
I think we all knew that we didn't want to feel the way we felt last year, and was all focused, wasn't loud, was just ready to get back out there and do the talking on the pitch. We did that.
What about the atmosphere after the game?
Oh, it was amazing. I think afterwards we had the feeling that we had I don't know if it was 3 games left, and we knew they were winnable games, and to get the win over Brighouse, who are a brilliant team, was all buzzing and just couldn't wait to lift the cup towards the end of the season.
Fantastic. Now, we were talking before, and Stacey was saying she's only a defender, Reidy. Now, obviously, it's such an important role in the game, isn't it?
Without defenders, well, you concede so many goals, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So, and obviously, against a tough team, the defenders are going to be really important, aren't they?
Well, like I say, it's a team game, so without the defenders, the midfielders can't do their job, and then strikers can't do their job. So you all help each other, I suppose. So you're not only a defender, right?
Not only a defender, it's an important aspect of the game. So that was the highlight of your season. Was there anything else that stood out for you?
It was like going to away games at Whitley Bay and Barnsley when it was really bad weather. If it was drawing 1-1, we'd get a last-minute goal, and I always think they're the best games to be involved in.
I think it's them games that define the season, isn't it?
They make it, don't they?
Yeah.
Those sort of games,
Drop
the scrappy 2-1 win away from home, and when the weather's horrible, obviously they're the sort of games that you just think afterwards, that was amazing. And obviously when they contribute to a winning season, I suppose that's really big for you and the rest of the players.
Yeah, it was a brilliant feeling. But they're the games we like to be involved with. It's close games and
a few sliding tackles going in, I bet, as well.
Just a few.
On all the Reidy and muddy surfaces.
Your centre-backs, there'll be a few horrible challenges going in. Right, moving on now, we're going to talk about Hull City, and obviously relegation is looking like a possibility at the moment. Reidy, come to you first of all. It's something obviously we've been covering week by week. Do you think that Hull are going to go down now?
It looks likely, I think. She's smiling because she agrees. I think.
Stacey's going to whack you, I think.
It's tough because it's kind of out of their hands, but it's not, if you know what I mean. Even if they beat Manchester United, I think if Newcastle win, then they're still down. So I think the damage is done now already. It's too late to say they can save the season, but it's what's happened over the past 6 or 7 months. It's why they are in this position. What
are your views on it, Stacey? Because you're obviously a Hull City fan as well. So how do you see it? Is it a case of because you're a fan, you think that they're still going to get out of it, or are you feeling sort of like, well, we've got no chance?
I always think there's twists at the end of the season. And I think if Hull go out there and beat Man United, hoping, I can't see Newcastle.
They've been poor lately on there as well.
So you think that Newcastle will slip up?
I think there's going to be a big twist, and I think that City we're going to stay up.
Going to do it. Well, it'd certainly be very interesting if they did. The situation with Jake Livermore, Reidy, is obviously had a massive impact on things. Steve Bruce has come out and said how much it's affected the team this week. So what are your views on that? Well,
he's obviously a silly boy for doing that in the first place. I don't think the club should be talking about Jake Livermore because he's in a way he's tarnished the club. But the players that are there now playing at the weekend should think, you know what, look what he's made this club look like. We need to go out there and show that we are a strong team still. We're not going to let this affect us and just give a good performance without Jake Livermore, obviously, because let's face it, he's not done much, has he, in the past 6 months anyway?
No, to be fair, he hasn't. And Jake Livermore, one of the players that I'm assuming will be on quite a decent wage. And if Hull were to go down, you look at the likes of James Chester, Curtis Davies, Michael Dawson, Diame, Huddleston, Livermore, Abel Hernandez, Yelovich and Doy, all be on pretty big wages, I should think. What's going to happen there, Stacey, do you think, if they do go down?
Yeah, I think if we do go down, they are going to want to stay in the Premier League and they're going to get teams wanting to grab these players because they are Premier League players. You just got to, fingers crossed, hope that we can try and keep some of them.
Do you think that Hull would be able to, if they were to go down? Do you think they'd be able to keep the likes of Huddleston and players that have been on the fringe of the England team?
I don't think they would want to. I think they want to stay in the Premier League. So hopefully that's what will give them the fight to win on Sunday, to try and stay in the Premier League. Yeah.
Do you think that, Reidy?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the teams coming up. They'll be looking at the teams going down and thinking, can we nick some of their players? So the likes of Huddleston, Livermore, had he not done what he's done, they're the types of players that, your Watfords and your Bournemouths and things, they'll be looking at and thinking, we could have them on loan, we could try sign them. So I think, like you say, they'll want to stay in the Premier League because if they can get a Premier League wage at a Premier League club, they're going to go for it, aren't they?
They will, yeah. If Hull City do go down, one of the things they want to be looking at is bringing players in. And even if they do obviously stay in the Premier League, they'll be looking at changing some of the squad. So looking at that, really, what's the perspective of a manager now? Are they, because we've seen Scunthorpe have made a signing already, the manager's looking at players and thinking, who do we bring in? What's the best time to bring a player in? What would you say in terms of the clubs around the local area?
Well, I think Bruce, I think he'll say he'll deny it, but he's thought of all sort of outcomes. He's thinking if we are in the Championship next season, I'll need this player, this player, this player, because we're going to have to sell this player, and that player. Lamb obviously got his own, well, he does what he wants, doesn't he? He'll have his own thoughts and plans for the club, but if you can do your business early, then you can have a good pre-season, and hopefully should Hull City go down, propel them back up to the Premier League again after a season.
So you think Steve Bruce has already assessed the possibility of going down and assessed the possibility of actually staying up and thought about the players that... Do you think in his eyes then, he knows the players that are going to leave if they go down?
I think so. I think he's got a plan together in his mind at least, saying, if the worst comes to worst and we are relegated, I'm the manager, I need to plan ahead. You know, it's my job to plan the squad and think of the team. So he's thought of all possible outcomes, I think. So in his mind, he'll know who will have to go if they go down because of finances and things.
The issue then is, Stacey, will Steve Bruce be the manager next season?
I hope so.
You a big Steve Bruce
I hope
fan
so,
then?
yeah. I think he's got the changing room because Hull City have been playing really good football. It's just not been finishing. And that's been and the injuries, of course, which I do feel sorry for Bruce. He's not had to pick who he really wants to pick in the team because of the injuries. But now I really do like him.
So you're hoping to stay?
I hope he stays, yeah.
With you as a player then, with Hull City Ladies, if new players were to come in over the summer then, how difficult is it to get those involved with the rest of the team and welcome them in? What's that like?
I think you need your big personalities to come out and welcome them, and it's nice to have new players come in with fresh legs. They've got new ideas, and I think it's good for a team when that happens. But yeah, you just need your big players to welcome them in.
I felt quite welcome when I come down.
Yeah, yeah, you did. Yeah, because they knew we were both terrible, really. That was why. So obviously, with the local teams bringing new players in, like Stacey said, you need those bigger characters in the dressing room to welcome them in. Can you see there being a lot of changes within Scunthorpe, Hull, North Ferriby, Grimsby?
Yeah, I think for each club this season, there's something quite major happening. Obviously, Hull City are looking at relegation. North Ferriby won the FA Trophy. Grimsby just missed out on promotion. So there's not sort of average seasons where they finish mid-table. Even for Scunthorpe, they've managed to stay in League One and just avoid relegation.
So we're making a lot of changes.
So something's happened for every club in this area at that level. So they'll have to make changes now to make sure that doesn't happen again, or it does happen for Grimsby, for example.
Thank you, Reidy. Right, let's have a look at the upcoming games then. Just the one this weekend. Hull City face Manchester United, knowing that they need to win and other results go their way. In 17 years as a manager, Steve Bruce has yet to beat former club Manchester United. What a record that is, by the way. How has he not managed to beat them at all? 17 years, that's unbelievable. So looking at that game then, how do you assess the chances, Reidy, first of all?
Well, the chances are slim because, let's face it, the quality Manchester United have is much better than Hull, and the table obviously reflects that, so it's not going to be an easy game for Hull. But then again, we said that about Hull and Liverpool, and Hull went and beat them, and they beat Palace, and Palace have been playing well, then they lose against Spurs, so there's no real pattern there. They could beat Manchester United on Sunday. You know, they could do it, I'm sure they could. But
score prediction from you then?
Well, I'm going to sound silly now because I said they could beat them, but I think Manchester United 2-1.
Manchester United 2-1.
Yeah.
Stacey, can we have a score prediction from you?
I think Hull City 1-0.
Hull City 1-0. Fantastic. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget that you can join us every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Estuary TV. Thank you very much also to Stacey and Rachel for joining us. We hope that we didn't scare them too much. You can also get in touch with us on social media and email. The details are on your screen now, and you can also contact our statman Greg. That's it, at Take Stat. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope Hull managed to do it this weekend. For this week, it's goodbye.